Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Smash Property Podcast. I'm your host, Nick V. With me today, I have the Akira.
The Akira.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
Fresh off our trip from Perth.
Yes.
Had a great time. Love that city. Definitely will be back. How did you find it?
Loved it. A little bit cold. I didn't know
Little
there
bit
was
chilly.
like 6 showers in one day.
Yeah, lots of precipitation. And,
Yeah. But honestly, it was such a lovely vibe down there. There's so much
super
infrastructure,
cool. Yeah,
which is amazing.
Super cool vibe. Obviously, we did that potty last week and gave a bit of an update on the market, which is absolutely crazy still.
Yeah, on the go ones. I love those potties. They're nice and
and we've got a
off the cuff.
few ones in the pipeline that are going to be
Yes.
pretty special, which we'll get through when we get there.
Yeah.
In today's episode, we're going to be talking about why you and I prefer existing established properties over brand new builds. And I guess the theme for this podcast is we fall in love with the numbers, not the looks.
Yes. I love that saying.
Yeah, we came up with that one recently, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper into some of the reasons and the rhythm and the rhyme behind what we do in that regard for ourselves and our clients.
Yeah, and what that actually means. Like, unpack a little bit about what is it about the numbers and not the looks that we mean.
Exactly. Setting a little bit of a context as to, how we got to this, I guess, understanding of where we're at with this particular,
Topic.
new versus existing. You and I have both bought brand new builds off the plan very early on in the portfolio phase, and so we're talking from firsthand experience here.
That's right.
I think that's probably number one. Number two, we speak to a lot of investors that come to us that have bought off the plan and they've gotten stuck. So we're going to dive into why we would prefer existing over new, some of the things to look at. So if you're out there looking to get into the market and you're thinking new, existing, what do you do? We're going to tell you.
So I think very simply, maybe we unpack a little bit about what it means to have an ugly duckling on a good street.
Yeah.
How do we define that?
So look, I guess to maybe put it really simply, right? Like when we're looking at properties, we want to make money for our investors, in as quick a fashion as we possibly can.
Efficiency.
Efficiency is key. So if we are looking at, a particular suburb in a particular area, let's say the median house price is $800,000.
Yeah.
If we can find a property in that area that is, I guess from a layout perspective, the same as these other $800,000 properties, 4 bedrooms, for example.
Yeah.
If that property sort of needs a little bit of love, needs some cosmetic sort of uplift.
Paint, carpet, something small like that.
That's what we're talking about when we say ugly duckling, right? It doesn't mean the house is dilapidated. It doesn't mean it's going to fall apart.
It's going through its teenage phase.
You've got to knock down and rebuild it.
Yeah.
It just means that you might need to spend a bit of coin to uplift the property. But the benefit is that you're buying these properties below what the median house price in the area actually is.
The market value, yeah.
What does that actually mean in a practical sense? So why I like these types of deals is because you can potentially, if you know what you're doing, you can negotiate a better price for yourself on the way in.
That's right.
So you can actually make money buying the property.
Yeah.
Buying it below market value. That's what people talk about all the time, right?
Exactly. So you've already got capital.
You've got sort of instant equity, which is a huge thing. So we make money on the way in, but what we then want to do is actually squeeze a little bit more out of the property and what we call manufacturing growth.
Yeah.
So you're not waiting for the market to do its thing, a year or 2 or 3 years later. You're instantly making money by adding value to that property. So yes, you've got to spend a little bit.
Yes.
But what you would want to do is, spend $1, make 2 back.
Yeah, exactly. So just very simply, manufactured growth just is something that you could do with adding cosmetic uplift. It could also be later down the track, like granny flats, those types of things. You take it as far as you need to, but it could be something as small as, like we said, painting the walls.
Exactly right. So you negotiate a better deal, you manufacture some growth so that you can actually release your equity and your capital a lot sooner, and you can go and buy another property a lot sooner.
Yeah.
That's the fundamental of buying an existing property and falling in love with the numbers and not the looks.
Yeah.
All right. Super important. I think if you want to take your property investing portfolio seriously, that's the type of stuff that you need to be looking at.
It helps you fast track everything, honestly.
Helps you fast track. And, there are obviously other ways you can, make money in property. This is what's worked for us. This is what works for our investors.
Yeah.
A lot of the successful property investors I know outside of our business have done this exact same formula.
Exactly. And I think the other point is maybe just looking at the contrasting factor to what it is with new properties and the difference with that. So, of course, there's pros and cons on both sides with old properties. Obviously, maintenance is a big thing, and making sure you have, like we talked about in other podcasts, having a bit of a cash buffer if it is going to be an older property. But I guess that's one of the cons in older properties, but maybe we talk about some of the pros in new properties now.
Yeah, actually, while you were saying that, I just had a thought, and I'll come back to that thought in just a second.
A few things going on.
Yeah, there is.
A few things to unpack.
Some gold for some people. So, new builds. Now, again, you and I had bought brand new off the plan very early on. We've got some stories that hasn't all been rosy.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that I know that have bought brand new properties, especially in today's day and age, the build qualities aren't great.
Build costs aren't great.
Build costs too. But I don't want to shit all over brand new builds because there are some advantages of having a brand new build. What are they? And this is not tax advice or anything, but the depreciation you can claim to reduce your taxable income is a big consideration for a lot of people.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
The potential perceived less maintenance of a brand new build. You and I both know and can attest that is actually most of the time not the case, because you buy these properties, they are going to have teething issues that you are going to have to sort out either yourself or through your builder.
That's right. And I think it's, as you said, the build quality is not the same as houses built in the early 2000s. So it's just having consideration that it's sometimes not going to be all rosy as well.
The thought that I had a second ago was the tax benefits, because I knew I was about to talk about it. So there's tax benefits, depreciation with, buying a brand new property. However, there are also tax benefits of existing properties, right? Like if you have maintenance on an existing property, guess what? It's a taxable deduction because it's expense for holding the property.
Actually, that's so true. It's probably better, if anything.
Well, yes, depending on what you're doing. So brand new builds, benefits, you get a brand new shiny property. You can show off to your mates saying, hey, look at this cool thing that I've got. You've got tax benefits. You've potentially got less maintenance, potentially less headaches. I can say it from my perspective, that's not true, but let's just say
I feel like we're very much on the other fence, by the way. Only reason why I say that is because if we're going into talking about some of the negatives, maybe just an unpacking of the time as well that takes to actually build the property and get into the contracts and the whole process behind that.
Yeah, look, so obviously I'll get to the time in a sec, but comparing it to the existing properties we were just talking about, right? You make money on the way in, you've got room to manufacture growth to increase your equity position to pull out and go again. With a brand new build, you don't have that.
Yeah.
Generally, you're actually paying over market value.
That's
because
right.
the builder's got a margin on top, 20-30%. Okay. The builder's taking the lion's share, or the developer's taking the lion's share of that profit.
Yep.
And you're left with, a product at the end of it.
Yeah. So you're getting the skerricks, unfortunately, sometimes, especially with all the costs involved.
So really, all you can do with the brand new build is wait for the market to do its thing.
Yeah. And I think the other point to that is the scarcity factor. If you're buying in an area where there's heaps of land getting cut up, the likelihood of the supply and the demand ratio not being there is obviously a consideration you need to undertake.
Yeah, and it's a really good point. And like you were saying, the build time, right? Construction costs can blow out, build times can be delayed,
variations, extensions of time.
Your money's tied up in this investment, and yes, sure, you might have to put down a small deposit in the beginning, but you're contractually obligated to fulfill that contract most likely. You've got construction loans you need to go through. So unless you've got a ton of capital that you can go and invest elsewhere, you're kind of stuck in that zone for a period of time.
And that's the thing that I like. It's such an easy decision for me, because when you're computing, all right, during that period of holding the property, you're not actually getting any income. You don't have a tenant in there.
Exactly.
So I don't know. For me, it's an easy decision, but I guess, as you said, there's pros and cons to both. But it's just understanding your personal position and how much risk you want to take on.
Yeah, and I mean, like, just looking at my example of when I was building, a property, every time the construction loan progresses, you make these progress payments, the loan gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
You're not getting any income on the property, like you
Exactly.
and you're going to have to fork out, the interest payments on these loans.
That's right.
In my view, in my personal experience,
Tell me.
it's not my favorite investment option, buying a brand new build. And that's not to say that it's wrong or don't do it. It's just to say, consider those things that we've spoken about.
Yeah.
And, talking about from experience, building our own portfolio with existing properties in established areas that have a proven track record of growth. Mm-hmm. For me, it's a no-brainer. But
likewise. And I think, it's just understanding your numbers as well, because if you don't have that unpacked at the start when you're signing on with, those brochures can be quite pretty and shiny with new builders. So you just want to make sure you understand the whole detail of what you're signing up for, your timelines and things like that if you were to do it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think kind of want to
know your risk.
round this out with, like, I guess with a lot of things, but particularly with investing, like, don't invest with your ego.
Yeah, it's massive.
Like, I can understand, because we're humans, this is just a natural kind of, thing that we do as humans, but really just putting your ego aside. I know it's not great, show them, you got nothing cool to show because it's just a brick house that fucking needs a bit of work.
Yeah.
But look at the numbers behind what it's doing for you.
Yeah.
And increasing your net worth. That's the real value of buying these types of properties and doing what we're doing.
Exactly.
Put the ego aside.
Actually, you just made me think of another point, is most of those times these houses are in good locations as well.
Of course.
So as much as it might be that it doesn't look great, it's in a location where people want to live. It's highly in demand. So I think once you understand that and know it's not just about the appearance, it's about the numbers, then you start to get a gauge on, what's actually important to grow your portfolio.
Like what is it doing for you? Is it moving your net worth position forward every single year?
Yeah.
Is it putting money in your pocket, or is it taking it all out under the guise of, a negative gearing and fucking, tax benefits you get out of it? So I think we covered quite a lot of ground in going through some of that. And yeah, look, I'm not shitting all over new builds, but I think we kind of are.
Yeah, unfortunately. No, I guess this comes in context, though, based on a few conversations that we have had, obviously, with people. So we understand both sides. And I think because we are highly involved in investing, we think about it, we whiteboard all the time. Just 9 times out of 10, when you're trying to understand the pros for it, the cons outweigh it for me. And I'm simple. Like, that's how I look at things.
Yeah, I mean, just with the new build, I did, right? Like, I've had roof leaking problems that, completely ruined my garage roof, where we had to get new capping, we had to pull out the roof, get new ceilings put in because they were all water damaged.
Yeah.
Just
agree.
Things like that.
Annoying little things that come up.
Just annoying little gremlins that you've got to iron out. And yeah, sure, the builder will take care of some of that. But if you, after some time, like, there's all these properties right now in Sydney where the foundations are cracking because the ground beneath it,
Yeah, everything's built cheap and fast for the most part if it's project homes, especially in the new developed areas. So I think having a strong foundation, like we always talk about, if you're going to buy an apartment, go for the little ugly red bricks, if anything. Those are in great locations. You don't have elevators.
Hey, they're not ugly. I like those red brick apartments. they've done well. 2-3-story apartments. There's no lifts, low strata. Happy days.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is, like, they don't have the pools and the elevators and anything like that.
They're not flashy.
They're not flashy.
They're not flashy, which is what's worked for us as investors.
Keep it simple.
Keep it really simple.
Yeah.
And I think on that note, we shall end the podcast.
Wrap it up.
Wrap it up. I don't know what episode number this is, but I think we're creeping close to 10. I think this might be 8 or 9. Cool.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy with how it's going. So thank you again for joining us this week. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in to the Smash Property Podcast every single week, Wednesday, 7 p.m. You already know what happens. And we shall see you again next week. Thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you soon.
Thank you.